Hey everybody, James with Love My Pups, My Breeder Supply. So today, this is going to be a video about what you can do if you want to send 2 samples to one person in one shipping, or if you want to collect from a dog so that you can do some breedings in a few days, but you want to pull from a dog now for some reasons we'll discuss. So, now, of course, all these videos are not scripted, so it's off the cuff, so my order may not be beautiful. But remember, we want you to subscribe to us, and we want you to go check out mybreedersupply.com. We have some wonderful products developed by us. If they're on our site, we use them on a regular basis. Some of those things we've even developed and patented ourselves. Subscribe to us, it helps us out. Okay, so you've got a dog that we would like to breed maybe in 4 days. I mean, this is arbitrary, but we're at day 0 right now. So, maybe you're going to ship semen, maybe you've got the weekend involved, and there are some issues about going to get this semen exactly on the right day. Maybe this is a Sunday, for instance. So here the problem is, or maybe even a Monday. So the problem for me is if I'm shipping to you, my last opportunity to ship is typically Friday. And so you've got to be able to store that semen to be used either on Sunday or Monday. So that's one scenario. The next scenario is that you want to do multiple breedings, but you have a small dog with not a very good semen count. What can you do to help that situation? So we're going to talk first about how you can collect semen and store it, whether you're going to be shipping it or using it in a few days. So, if you're going to, here's my semen. Well, it's not my semen. It's from a dog. Here's the semen that we're going to, I'm an idiot, sorry. Here's the semen that we're going to use in a few days, whether we ship it or whatever. Here it is. Right, we just collected it. Now, how long is that semen good for if it's just left here in a cup at room temperature? The answer is you want to use this as quickly as you reasonably can. It's not like you've got a mad rush, got to be used in 5 minutes. But certainly when I collect from a dog, I want to use it within 10 minutes. Look, you can probably be 30 minutes, you can probably be an hour, but you're not going to be days with this. If you look at this semen a day from now, the majority of it's going to be in trouble. So, how do you store this semen? The answer is that you've got to add extender. And extender comes in different ways. The product that I use, and actually this is just a fake example here. This is actually not the bottle. But I sell a product called Canaplus ST and Canaplus LT. ST short term, LT long term. Wonderful product, been using it for many, many, many years. Done multiple testings on lots of extenders over the years, and this is by far the best extender I've ever used. And for those of you who are doing this, what are called Kenny extenders, the milk-based extenders and the yolk-based extenders, they are nowhere near as good as this. I would never, ever, ever use a milk-based extender. I've used them in the past. They are crap compared to what the Canaplus products are. Now, a bottle of Canaplus LT, which is a 10-day extender, it's like 45 bucks. It's not cheap stuff. By the way, I do sell that at mybreedersupply.com. And this has a 2-year shelf life stuck in your fridge. So how do you use this? You take a cup of nice warm water. Warm enough that you can drink it, not so warm that you're going to scald your mouth. And it goes in there. And that warm, this came out of the fridge, so it's cold. This needs to be in here for about 5 minutes or longer. So this gets up to nice warm temperature. Not crazy hot, but certainly above your body temperature. So we're just going to put that down for a second. Now we've collected from our dog. And there's a couple of different ways that we can use this now. We could either put this into a syringe and send it, but what we use is what are called well packs. It's a sterilized product. So we're just going to pull the top off it. Then, oh, come on, open up. Here we go. And that's sterilized, so I don't want to put my fingers inside. And I'm trying to do this one-handed, but that'll work. So I've collected from my dog, and I've got videos on how to collect a dog. There it goes. And we want to collect what's called the sperm-rich fraction. That is not the last part that comes out of the dog, because that'll be clear. And when you pull from a dog, by the way, it should look nice and milky. If it doesn't, you've got an impending problem, you need to have your dog checked out. And what we do is we look at all this stuff under a microscope to evaluate the semen. Okay, so there it is. So there's about 3 cc's of semen came out of the dog. We now take our pre-warmed extender, so here it comes. This is the extender. Get any water off. I'm going to put this cup down. Put this down. Shake any water off it. Take a towel if you need to, because you don't want to get any water in here. You just want to use the extender, and if I can get the extender out. So now what I like to do is I pour the extender into the cup that I can collect it from, because then I can see that I've got a little bit more of the extender that I had semen. So there it is. And then I swirl it around so I can collect all the rest of any remaining semen in it. You can see it's gone slightly cloudy because I had a little bit extra in there, great. And then I look in there, and if I've got any debris or muck, you can then roll it around to get the debris or the hairs or whatever stuck on the side of the cup, because you obviously don't want to contaminate the semen with muck that's on the outside of the dog penis when you collect it from him. So we've got everything off, and then slowly pour that into there. And now we have a mix of both the extender and the semen, and it's nice and warm. It feels physically nice and warm. This now gets rolled down if you're using a well pack. You could have used a syringe. The ears get folded in. And there we go. There's our product. That is ready now, that we can now store this for up to 10 days. But we have to store it at something close to and above freezing. So how are you going to do that? Well, there's 2 ways you can get this done. If you're shipping, of course, you should be using our shipmate product. And by the way, this is an older can here. That's not the way they look these days. But it doesn't matter. For suffice for demonstrating, it's good enough. That goes into the can. Lid goes on. And now you can put that in the fridge. And that will now cool down over the next 4.5 hours to get down to fridge temperature of 5 degrees centigrade. So I'm now going to take this out and show you a different way to do this. So here's the semen coming out. So there's another way to do this. So here's the problem. You can't just stick this in the fridge. If you stick that in the fridge, it cold shocks the semen, it gets cold too quickly, and you will destroy all or most of the semen. And the quality of the sample that you're providing to use yourself or somebody else will be pretty crappy. So what do? You get a cup of warm water, the same water I can use that I use to warm up the extender, and you pop this in here. And there it goes. Just make sure it's in the water, right? So now what do? We stick this in the fridge. And what happens is this warm water takes some time to cool down, about 4 hours. So it will slowly cool the semen down over a 4-hour period until it gets to 5 degrees centigrade, and it's now fridge temperature. So after about 5 hours, you can now take this out and leave this in the fridge. Don't take it out. This is now at 5 degrees centigrade after 4 hours. You can leave this in the fridge, not the freezer, the fridge. You can leave this in the fridge. And now you can do the whole same process again. You can collect from the dog again. You can give the dog a rest for a day, collect from the dog a day later, add extender to it, put it in a bag, stick it in the cup of warm water, put it in the fridge, cool that one down. Now you've got 2 samples in the fridge. So this is the way that you can store semen if you want to do an AI in a few days. You're not quite sure when. But maybe the stud dog's not going to be available in a couple of days. Or maybe you've got the weekend involved, or you've got driving involved. This is a way that you can basically have multiple loads of semen ready to be used when the time comes. So what do you do when you're ready to use this? It's very easy. This is already sitting in the fridge. It's at 5 degrees centigrade. You just take it out and use it. Nothing special about this at all. And so here is an AI rod. And did I bring a syringe with me? No, because I'm an idiot. But anyway, by the way, love these new AI rods that we're now selling. They are so skinny you can get into through the vagina and into the vaginal vestibule so easily. I really love these. They are so much better than the ones we had before. And incidentally, there's 2 ways you can get this. But the first thing is for a smaller dog, you can adjust the size of this thing by simply pulling off the cap, taking a pair of scissors, cutting it down to whatever appropriate size you want to use for a small dog, putting the cap back on, and you've got yourself an AI rod the right length ready to go. And by the way, we sell another thing that goes with this kit. You can buy this also as a catheter. And the way the catheter works is that you put this, lube this thing up, stick this inside the dog, You blow this up with your syringe and it blows up this little balloon and it captures the whole AI rod system inside the dog so semen can't get out. And you then just simply do the same thing, you AI through the tube like you did before. And when you're finished, you put your syringe back on the end of this and it deflates this little balloon and you can pull the whole thing out. This is not designed to be as a reusable system. You throw this away. I don't like reusing stuff because it's hard to sterilize things, and for as cheap as it is, you don't want to have the risk of getting a uterine infection, pyometria, by using non-sterilized stuff. But anyway, when you've got this all done, you can then leave that in the dog, and the dog is now sealed up, and when you finish the AI 30 minutes later, deflate it, pull it out, throw it away, and your AI is done. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you do this if you want to ship. So you saw how we do it to collect and leave in the fridge. If you're using shipmate, then what you can do is you can put the first collection into the shipmate canister, put the lid on with a battery, put it in the fridge. Now this whole system cools down to 5 degrees centigrade over a 4 or 5 hour period. After 5 hours, in the fridge, you unscrew the top, you take the bag out, you leave the bag in the fridge. You take this out, leave it on your counter, let the whole thing warm up for an hour till it gets back to room temperature. You can collect from the dog, do the same process again, put it in here, put the cap on, put that in the fridge, and then after 4 or 5 hours, this is also now down to 5 degrees. You can open the lid up, take the first bag, put it to the second bag, put the lid on, both samples are now 5 degrees centigrade, and you can now ship that off to your customer, 2 loads in 1 canister. So how many times can you pull from a dog? So if you pull from a dog today on day 0, this is your first sample that you pulled. How long does it take before that semen that you pulled has been replenished in the dog? And the answer is about 7 days. About 7 days, whatever you pulled out here has been replenished. It takes about 7 days for the dog to replenish and fill up his tanks. How many times can you pull from that dog in a 7-day period? Well, you can, in most dogs who've got, older dogs with decent sized testicles, you can pull every couple of days. So if you pull today and you pull the next day, 1 day later, you'd probably get a decent collection. So here you're getting 100% of whatever he's going to produce. And after this point here, what would you produce? Maybe 90%. And if you pulled again, what would you get? Maybe 70%. And you can see what's going to happen here. And if you pull again, day 3, what do you get? Maybe 40%. So you can see this whole semen, even though we talked about percentages here, 0 to 100, we set it at 100 here, and this one was at 90, and this one was at 70, and this one was 40. You can see what's happening. If you keep on pulling from a dog every day, by the time you got to the time, if you started pulling early, you might get down to a really crappy semen count. So you can't just keep on pulling from a dog. If you do, you need to be evaluating it to see whether or not he can handle that process. Because almost certainly, you're going to find that the semen count is not going to be very good at the end. So what do I recommend that you do? I recommend that you, if you're going to do this, that you pull every other day. And so I frequently get to situations where customers want 2 samples and they want them 2 days apart. What do? I pull here, I've got 100%. I wait for 2 days and I pull again, and I've got still a really good, up to this point, probably 95%, so we're in good shape. Had a little bit of time to recover. I ship those 2 separate shipments. I don't combine shipments. I want to get the freshest semen possible. So the customer's getting this, they're getting it this day here, that's when that receives. And this one, they'll then get a couple of days later. And that's the freshest way I can get semen to them. But you certainly could play this game, where you could combine it and collect in the evening, collect the next day, and then combine those and send them off to FedEx that following afternoon. So that you could do that, and you would save on double shipment. I personally like 2 shipments. Okay, I think that's really, it's a bit rambly how I explain this, so I apologize for that, but hopefully you've got the point across. So let's just do a quick kind of synopsis of what we're talking about here. So what we're saying is, if you collect from a dog and you want to keep it, you've got to use some extender that's pre-warmed, has to be added to the semen, has to be cooled down slowly over about a 5-hour period to keep it at 5 degrees centigrade. Otherwise it won't keep. Once you've done that, if you've used the Canny Plus LT extender, that could be kept for 10 days is pushing it. I've done it for 10 days and still got viable semen. It's certainly not as good after 10 days as it was after 1 or 2 days. But the point here is you've got to use a good quality extender, and the only one that I recommend that you use is that one right there. It happens that we sell it because we like it. So you can pull from a dog, you can store it in the fridge, or you can ship it in our shipmate container, and you can ship multiple samples, but you've got to pull from a dog. Can't just keep on pulling from a dog every day because your semen count will not be very good after you've done that about 4 times. Okay, so hey, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to us. Subscribe to us. If you don't like what we're doing, tell us why. If you've got other videos you'd like us to do, let us know. And as always, be nice to your dogs, and we appreciate the fact that you're watching our videos. Thank you, everybody.